everyone. Welcome back to the Imperfect Podcast. This episode, I know I literally say this every episode, but I am so beyond excited because in this episode, I'm talking with my amazing friend Garrett about something that is a huge part of both of our lives and kind of the reason that we became friends in the first place. But yeah, Garrett, if you would like to introduce yourself.
Hey guys, what's up? My name's Garrett Thomas. I'm a singer-songwriter from Harford County, Maryland. I went to the same high school as Gabby, North Hartford High School. Well, now she's at John Carroll, but she yeah. But yeah, now I major in voice at the University of Delaware. I'm currently a junior, and getting ready for my junior recital next semester, which is pretty interesting. And I've always been recording, writing songs, really, and I'm just really happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. I'm super excited. So, fun fact about Garrett, he actually produced Words, which is the song that I released back in June. And that's kind of how we started talking because I had known, Garrett's a legend back at North Hartford. So
No, no,
of
no,
course I had to reach out and talk to him because everyone knows that Garrett's amazing and he has his own music and all of these wonderful things. Um, so of course I had to reach out because, I wanted to follow that same path and I knew that you knew what you were doing and I didn't. So that's kind of how we started talking.
I'd say now you got a pretty good idea. I mean, you're doing a podcast, you're promoting yourself a lot. Like I see a lot of stuff you post. It's all great, really.
I'm trying. We're trying.
Everyone's trying. We're all
There's
just
only
trying.
so much you can do in Harford County as a junior in high school, but
Oh my gosh.
So I know that you mentioned you were a junior in college, and as the younger sister of a senior, um, I know that the whole college application process can be really crazy and stressful. So I wanted to ask you kind of what that process looked like for you as, a music major.
Oh yeah, of course. So a lot of the schools that I applied to, they had they had like a pre-screening process where you had to send them two songs. And then after that, if you passed that, then you went on to a live audition where you performed in front of a panel of people. University of Delaware, it was in front of the whole voice faculty. I also applied to Berklee College of Music where I was accepted, but unfortunately couldn't go for some family reasons. But their audition was pretty interesting. We everyone was like in a we were in like weird holding rooms. Like it almost reminded me of like when I auditioned for the Voice way back. Like it was like you move from one room to another room, and then like they gave you a practice room to practice like sight reading and all that stuff, um and then there was also two pieces that you performed live. It all the requirements were pretty much different for that. Some schools had you sing three songs, some schools two songs, and like it's basically whatever they wanted to hear at the time. If they just look at your songs and be like, hey, I want to hear this one. But and then I actually another school I applied to was Greensboro College in North Carolina, which is really funny because I was recruited to play lacrosse there. It was yeah, you don't don't hear that a lot, lacrosse players that want to be opera majors, not really two things that go together. but but yeah, that audition was very like laid back. So I kind of just walked in there. I sang one of the songs, and it was for one dude. Like the dude that played the piano for me was my like person that was listening and like evaluating my audition.
That's
So
cool.
like so you got like it depends on the size of the music program. Like everyone has their own way of like trying to make it feel um like low pressure. They really want to see your talent, and that's the biggest thing. And that's like on the music side, and on the other basic stuff is of course I'm pretty sure all of them were on Common App, and for that was basically just SAT score, which
Yeah.
mine was yikes. Uh, but SAT, ACT, and then like a little writing sample that it's pretty easy. I think mine was only a page and a half, but it's really not. It's stressful at the time, but like I promise you, in a lot of the school districts, your teachers are very well aware of the college process, and they're really, really trying to make sure that then set you guys up for success. And I kind of just trusted that, and I was accepted in all of my colleges. So just that's really all I could say about that in the
Yeah.
college application stuff.
Yeah. So, you mentioned auditioning, and this is a question that I get a lot and that I kind of know how to answer. But what kinds of tips do you have for someone who's going into an audition, whether that's for a show or for a school? And like, how are they different? Those kinds of things.
Yeah, well, there's definitely an anxiety and a adrenaline.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people black out. I know I blacked out for all my auditions. I don't know how I sounded, what happened, but like it's it, it's like you just need to find whatever way you can to take a deep breath, find that inner zen, and display confidence. Like I'm singing this, you're about to hear it. Like that's the kind of confidence, like,
Mm-hmm.
and that's ultimately the probably the best kind of advice that I can give you. And then for the whole like just whenever they talk to you, just be yourself. Like if
Mm-hmm.
you would say a joke or like laugh at something, laugh. Like don't go in there and be a robot, cuz like a lot of people forget like the people that are evaluating you, they're also people. Like
Mm-hmm.
they um I can't even tell you like the relationships that I have with the voice faculty now at University of Delaware. I would have never guessed they're like the way that they are just by like
Mm-hmm.
I was so scared at my audition, but
Mm-hmm.
like now I'm getting to like learn getting to know them, and they're so cool. Like they have their own lives, like they do their own things. They have families, like their family dynamics are funny for some of them, and like they're just it's it's just great, like they're all great people, and
Yeah.
that's like a key thing to keep in mind too when you're auditioning is like these people are just people, like they're gonna
Mm-hmm.
be critical, they're gonna like think things about your voice, but like when the note comes out, it's out, like
Mm-hmm.
just keep on moving, um, try to breathe, and you know,
Yeah. And I like yesterday I had an audition for a showcase that is like a Broadway showcase that my school is doing in December. And
mm,
I walk in and I see my chorus teacher who I'm like super comfortable with because I've worked with her before with different shows and everything, and I've been in her class. I'm in 3 of her classes.
oh
Um
wow.
for like acapella and stuff like that. So of course I walk in and I'm like, "Hey JP, like I'm super nervous, just trying to be like funny and transparent because I was shaking." Um
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't see the other teacher that was in there. And I'm new to the school, so I don't know every teacher. So never seen this man before in my life. And so I'm mentioning like how nervous I am and I'm trying to like, shake it off and convince myself it's okay. And the other teacher stands up and he's like, "Why are you so nervous?" And in my head, I'm going, "Why are you here?" I was like, "Who are you?" Forgetting that he's the
Oh my
choreographer.
gosh.
Um, and so then of course, he gives me like a pep talk and everything, but he asks me why I'm nervous. And in that moment, the first thing that came to my mind was because I'm human. So what did I tell him? I'm nervous because I'm human.
Hey, I mean it's so valid though. It's
The
that's
good
really
news is
funny.
he laughed. He thought I was funny, which I was like, okay, this is good. This is good.
Yeah. Oh
But
my
oh my
gosh, it's
gosh,
so
it was so
valid
funny.
though.
I After it happened, I was like, I did not just say that to a teacher. I did not just say that to like my director.
Oh my
Oh my
gosh.
gosh. I was really embarrassed, but also kind of proud of myself because it was good.
Yeah, I mean that's such like the correct reaction though.
Hmm.
Like it really is. Like, and
Yeah.
yeah.
So, what do your college classes look like as a performance major?
Oh, hard. A lot of classes. I don't think I've ever taken below maximum credit load.
Oh wow.
It's yeah, it's as a music major, they get you because like there's so many requirements for the music major, so they just make them all like 1 or 2 credits. So like, I mean, I'm gonna like use engineering for example. I got a friend that's an engineering major, and he like takes 16 credits, but like all of them are like really hard 4 credit engineering, intense math classes, all that stuff. I don't really know what they're exactly called, but um, so he has more intense classes, but like he doesn't have like as many classes. So like he since his are 4 credits, like he has like 4 classes, 4 credits, so 16, and then they each meet like 3 or 4 times a week, 3 times with a lab sometimes. But yeah, so that's what's different about the music majors, that it's so many classes stacked behind that are like 1 or 2 credits, especially um in your first 2 years. Like you got to take piano, and and you got to take piano. Uh, you have like oral skills and stuff like that. Harmony. I'm pretty sure oral skills is was like 2 credits or whatever for me. But it's just a lot of classes, and then on top of that, you need to do like your prereqs or like your breath requirement, whatever university
Right.
calls it. So yeah, I pretty much haven't taken below max credit load, and it's interesting. You definitely lose sleep, but it's a crazy schedule. But like the music that you make, the music that you learn, like all that stuff is it's so worth it. It really
Yeah.
is. It's worth staying up to complete the homework for your other classes because you have rehearsals till 8, 9 o'clock at night. Like it's so worth it, really.
Yeah. And that's like, as a high schooler, I have like, these fantasies about like what college is supposed to be like, and I'm understanding now that it's not like the movies and it's
Yeah.
actually like
Oh.
a lot harder.
Yeah.
um but I think the thing that I love about college so much is that yes, it's hard, but you're working for something that you love, and you're working for like what you want to do for the rest of your life. So even though it's like so tiring and exhausting, it's so worth it.
Oh yeah. It's so nice to be able to like focus on what you want to do, because you don't realize like there's you treat the classes that you like differently in high school. And like I every person that's like been like really like that choir person, like that really invested in like the music classes at their school, they know this. Like they try so much harder. They like their brain just absorbs that information like so much easier than any other class. So like your other classes that you don't care about, you're kind of just like, how can I get a B? Like how can I get a B?
Right.
Like I know that was me. I was like, come on, just an 80. Like I don't
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
care. Like I'm never gonna use this information ever again. And in college, like with some of the breath classes and like the prereqs, like yeah, like it's kind of that mentality. But for like all the classes for your major, it's like it's so interesting. Like
Yeah.
this this semester, well, yeah, this semester, like I'm taking a conducting class, and I'm like, I personally like never conducted like, or tried to thought about conducting an ensemble like ever.
Yeah.
And it's just so fun that how like these teachers are using the equipment, well, especially now because like COVID and stuff. But like to be able, when the class was in person, you would meet, everyone would learn the part, and then like you would conduct the choir, and then he would give you feedback and like say, oh, like tenor is like your cue for this was like late or whatever. And then now it's actually really cool because we do the acapella app. We use the acapella app, and like you record yourself conducting to begin with, and then you record yourself singing all the parts. So I mean, I'm not really. I'm not gonna say I'm good at the acapella app. I'm like, I
It's
don't
so
know.
cool though.
Yeah, like these people are like they come up with so many like different like innovative ways to like transform the classroom, and like that's what we're doing right now. Like I'm not good at the acapella app really. Like I'm I feel like I'm 80 when I'm using it because like I don't really know how to
It's such a
layer stuff.
process.
Yeah,
It's
I
such
just
a process.
if it was in like Final Cut or
Yeah.
Logic, it'd be so much easier for me. But like I don't know. I all my projects are like he's just like, well, you're getting better.
I
And
love that.
honestly, that's what I look forward to, and that's what it's really all about.
Yeah.
You know.
I tried to do acapella app for harmonics last like in the spring,
Hmm.
and it was a great idea. The problem was I was the only one that wanted to do it that bad. And because it was like, because our songs were obviously longer than like 30 seconds, we would have had to buy the like,
Premium thing.
yeah, the premium version, which I didn't want to do because I don't have money.
Yeah,
And,
of course.
you know, Miss Jones at the time was like, well, since this is technically school, like I can see if the school will pay for it, but I really don't think it will because whatever. And I was like, okay, then just forget it. It's like it's
Yeah.
fine. I'm like, no one's doing it anyway.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
but we did end up getting 2 videos on YouTube, which were really fun. One of them I hated, but it's not a big deal.
Are you talking about the ones that Max edited?
Yeah.
Yeah, those sounded really good.
I loved the bad breakup mashup. I hated
Yeah.
the Jonas Brothers one.
Oh,
I have nightmares about it.
you have
Every
nightmares
time that
about
song
it.
comes on now, I turn it off.
I hear what was it? Who was it? Connor was on the trumpet thing, right? Connor was on the trumpet thing.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
He was so proud of that.
I used to do that. That's so funny because like I think he was a sophomore. Yeah, he was a sophomore when I was a senior. Freshman when I was a junior. But like I find that so funny because like I used to do that all the time. Like
Yeah.
that was one of the. It just makes me so happy because like that was one of like the things that um Miss Jones would tell me to do. Like we did what's it called, cheerleader.
Oh yeah.
And I do the little and like it was just so funny because I just feel like it like that just it's so cool how like that was like passed down. Like to me as an
Right.
alumni, like I just look back and I was like, Connor heard me do that. Like
Yeah, you're like that was
I was like, and he can do it better than I can now. So that's really
oh my
cool,
gosh. It
you
was
know?
so funny when Connor did that the first time in class. Max, like everyone stopped and we all looked at him and we're like, where did that come from? And
Yeah.
Connor's like, I don't know. I just kind of did it. And Max was like, I've been trying to do that for like 3 years and I haven't been able to do it. And I was like, Max, you're the beatboxer. What do you mean you can't make
Yeah.
a trumpet sound? And he was
Oh
like,
my
I can't
gosh.
do it.
Oh my
That's so
gosh.
funny.
Yeah.
My goodness. So earlier you mentioned that you have been writing your own music for like forever.
Mhm.
But when did you start like producing and releasing it? When was like, you know, the day that you decided that was going to be what you do?
um okay, so I always had ideas. So like I've when like I say like I've been writing music forever. Like I've always had like ideas forever.
Hmm.
Um, I just I needed to wait till for my musicianship to develop in order for me to actually like transcribe it, a lot of it. Cause like I mean obviously I mean not obviously but like when I was in middle school like I would like come up with like melodies and stuff and like words and then I'd be like, well, I don't know how to like I don't know. I was pretty good at the piano but like I couldn't. It just takes a different thing. It's like the one moment that you realize that like you can sing and play the piano at the same time.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of like what happened, and I I I wrote I was just in my basement chilling, and I was freaking humming the melody to "Don't Run Away," the first song on my first album, and then I run up to the piano and I'm like literally sitting there trying to play chords. I'm like, what sounds good? Like, is this in the right key? And then I like finally figured out like it's the basic, C, G, A minor, F. But like, uh, I don't know. Like, it was in that moment where I was just like, wow, like I can actually do this. And then like the next 3 days after that, I just kept on writing and writing and writing and writing and writing and so that was when I believe I was like 16 is when I finally figured that all out. And then when I was 17, I got into contact with a kind of mentor, producer, record label kind of person. His name is Mike Males. He runs well now it's called Indie Radio, but it was called My Rural Radio back then. It was like an internet radio station for independent artists, and kind of met him at a restaurant through my aunt because my aunt was at 510 Johnny's actually in Bel Air,
Oh
Maryland.
yeah.
Yeah, so he was playing with Dennis Shockett. If you've ever seen,
Yeah.
Dennis Shockett play. He plays everywhere in Harford County, and my aunt always goes to 510 Johnny's, and they come every Tuesday. So she was like, "I need to introduce you to this guy," and and she wanted to introduce me to Dennis, and Dennis was like, my aunt was just saying like, well, how does he go like about like recording his music, and then Dennis was like, well, you need to talk to the other guy, you need to talk to the guitar player over here, and Mike pretty much he said it on the phone call. He said he called me bluff. He didn't think I'd do it. He gave me his card, and he was like, "Yeah, just send me what you have." Like, and he told me he was like, he really wasn't expecting much because like it's just a random interaction. Like he was like, this kid
Right.
probably won't email me or whatever. And then I emailed him my songs within like the second I got home at like 10:30 at night, and I
Oh,
woke and I I was so excited. I was like, please, like, give me feedback, like just anything, like, and then he really liked my stuff, like, and it's it really just went from there. Like then I found my producer, who's also a really good friend of mine now, is Jonathan Merkel from the Beat Chamber, and he's crazy credentials. Oh my gosh, he produced one of the songs in the Deadpool movie. I believe it's the first one. Yeah,
oh
it's like
wow.
yeah, he does a lot of like um he does a lot of like Spanish kind of stuff. He's amazing guitar player.
Wow.
He's a also a fantastic producer. And I was basically put into contact with him, and he was like, "Hey, like like, what are we doing? Are we recording a single? Like a few songs? Like, what are we doing?" And I was just like, you know what? Go big or go home. Like 11-song album. Here we go. And and he was just like, okay. And I really commend him because in my earlier days I really wasn't. I mean, if you listen to my album, 13 Mile Lane on wherever you listen to music, Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff, there's a lot of guitar parts, and I was not good at the guitar at the time. I've got a lot better now, but like I can't even imagine because I would record it for him to do it over. So I would
Right.
record it and sing it so he knew like what chords like go where, like how often it changes, the strumming pattern, all that stuff. And like thinking back, it was so bad. I like no, not in rhythm at all, and somehow it turned into the polished version on the album that you hear through him re-recording, rewriting, like doing that stuff with the guitar. That and like the bass, and then he programmed the drums. But I did all of the vocals and the guitar. No, not the guitar. The piano. I
Yeah.
did all the vocals and the piano on the whole album, and you know, but yeah, is really, and then I've pretty much made a really good relationship with him, and then I've released some more stuff, and some more stuff in the future, and that's just really how it is right now.
So there's
I'm
more stuff
excited.
coming in the future.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah,
I
that is so exciting.
yeah.
Because I remember Keys came out. When did Keys come out? Like
I think May,
July, August, May.
May or June.
It did come out.
I believe May or June. I no, it's fine. I don't even know the release date, to be honest
That's
with
true.
you.
It came out because it did come out before mine.
Okay, yeah,
Did
yeah.
I don't know.
It's May.
Okay,
I
good. Yeah.
believe. Yeah.
Anyway, I listened to it right away. It was so amazing, and pretty sure, yeah, all three of those songs are on my mom's playlist, by the way, and
Oh my
mine.
gosh,
Like
bless
my
her.
whole family listens to you now.
Oh my gosh, that's probably the that's probably the 10 plays a week I get.
Probably. My gosh. Because like my parents work in Towson, so of course my mom's listening to her playlist like back and forth, and that was like a 45-minute drive. So you know,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean that's I'm not gonna lie. When you said that you got excited when you had your opportunity to reach out to a producer, that's how I felt when I got to talk to you. Let me tell you,
Stop.
because you showed up to that one rehearsal for Music Man, right? And I was
Mhm.
like, oh my gosh. I was like, it's the Garrett Thomas.
Oh my god,
And
stop.
I was literally the only person in that room that you didn't know. And I was like,
I
this is so crazy. And then you gave me pointers. And I was like, no way, this is real. Right?
Oh my
I
god.
used them in the performance, by the way, and it
You
was amazing.
did?
Pretty
Oh my
sure Miss
god.
Green cried at every performance. So thank you for
Miss
that.
Green. Oh my gosh,
But
I
I
love
was like,
her.
okay, now we're friends, kind of. We're friends enough. Like we've seen each other in person. I'm gonna DM him. And long story short, you're amazing, and I will
Thank you.
forever be grateful for you.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
So I wanted to ask you, like, did you have any like specific inspiration? Were there like any people who inspired you to become a musician, or was that just something that was always on your mind?
Oh, yeah, this is actually a really good question. So so no one in my family is musical. They all like to listen to music, but like nobody's musical. So like when they figured out, I don't know, it was like it kind of evolved from like singing in the car. Like my dad would sing with me, and like my dad just sings for fun, obviously.
Yeah.
And like, okay. So he tells me that he used to sing in a rock band back in the day, and
I
I
feel like
don't
every
know.
parent says that.
I don't know like how legit this rock band was, but he tells me that he used to sing in a rock band back in the day, so I'll get it from him. But basically like I just started singing in the car, and like they really tried to get me into rock bands cuz like obviously like my parents are like the very like they love to go to bars and like watch bands. So they're like, if our kid can do that, like, oh my gosh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
And so they gave me a few opportunities to be in these like local rock bands. I was in like I don't even know how many. Like when I was, I believe, mm, was I was like 9 or 10, and I was in one at what used to be the Maryland Music Conservatory.
Hmm.
It was actually right next to John Carroll. It
Oh
was that
wow.
like building back there. It used
Oh,
to
I think
be
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it used to be the Maryland Music Conservatory, and I was in a rock band, and they had a recital, and
Why
what
is that not a conservatory anymore? That makes me sad.
I mean, it's a lot of the art stuff. It's terrible. Like that people do so many great things, and then it just like funding stops, like all that stuff. I don't know particularly what happened with them, but like that was the first rock band, and then I was in a couple more rock bands. I was in one through all of middle school, and then obviously I was in Cruiser at North Hartford. Shout out to my boys. Shout out to Liam Huser and Mikey Kraus and the members of Cruiser. I love them so much. We had so much fun. We really did. Gigging all around Hartford County, and that was my high school experience. Like, and that was I don't know. I just feel like me as like a rock singer kind of evolved over time,
Hmm.
and then I got into high school, and then Miss Green was like, you know what, like audition for the musicals and stuff like that. And I saw Footloose, and when I was a freshman, I wasn't in it. I wasn't in it, and that's like probably one of the biggest regrets is that I didn't do shows all 4 years of high school. But
Hmm.
then I auditioned, you know, I auditioned for The Sound of Music, and then got Rolf in that. Bye Bye Birdie, got Conrad, and then was Emil in South Pacific. And so I feel like the rock singer in me really like sparked everything else because I was always just like, you know what? My dad always told me. My dad always like he would put on Journey, you know, and he
Love.
would say, if you can sing this song, like this is the song, and like the song was Faithfully, which is it's
Hmm.
I've grown to get. I mean, obviously, it was very rough starting out, but I can sing it now pretty much without effort, and it's it's a good song that I like to gig with, and I just that was really it's the little it was like the little things like that for me really that
Hmm.
like set me up, and then obviously like now like timeline I'm in high school like and then I started um writing music and stuff like that, and then that's where the other timeline I was talking about picks up. But like yeah, I feel like it all really started from when I was a rock singer, and then like the inspiration behind my songs really I have a lot of inspiration like with my family. Um my grandparents, my pop I lost him I think it was 2 years ago, um, and he died from Parkinson's disease. It was very tough, like living in that environment with him. But I really, really tried to cherish every moment that I had with him.
Mhm.
Really, all the last moments that he had. Um, I sang. I brought my guitar to him. I sang "Brown Eyed Girl" while
Aw.
he was in care. They brought a hospital bed in, and he had a short time to live, and I sang "Brown Eyed Girl," and that was actually one of the reasons that got me interested in music therapy because I would be playing my guitar and like the thing with Parkinson's, I don't exactly know the science behind it, but it's like affects your vocal cords, so it's like really hard to project, or like it might be like the diaphragm or something like that, and I it's all I remember is that like they would all say like speak up pop, and like everyone would get really close to him for him to hear, but like for some reason when I was playing Brown Eyed Girl on the guitar, he would sha la la like so loud,
Aw.
and that's like the moment, like in that
Yeah.
moment I was like music is so powerful,
Mhm.
like, and that's like what got me interested in music therapy is like it's so crazy how like when he talked it was really hard for him to project. But then, like when he was singing, like he didn't even think about it. He just went for it, and like he
Yeah.
sung 10 times louder than he could talk. And
Mhm.
that's he was a huge inspiration of mine, really. Um, and then I mean, a lot of his breakups, high school breakups. um,
Yep.
yep, yeah. I mean, every songwriter knows that though.
Oh
Every
yeah.
songwriter knows that though.
Yeah.
Good love, bad love,
Man, I
all that
write
kind of
love
stuff.
songs and for I have no experience with that. I write
Yeah.
love songs about relationships that like don't even exist.
Yeah, seriously though. And like it doesn't even have to be like one that you're in. It could be like one that your friends in, you know? Like or like a I talk about this a lot with like my friends in my songwriting class. We had like a project. Um but I was talking to my friends and I was saying that like we one thing that we commonly did, a couple of us, is like we would use love as a tool to talk about other things.
Mhm.
Like obviously it's a little extreme, but you can relate like like the debt that you're in college, like that whole situation, you
Mhm.
can relate that to an abusive relationship because you're trying to give it all you got, and they're just taking your money. So like I mean
Yeah.
obviously college is great, college is so great, but
Yeah.
it definitely hits you sometimes. This is very expensive, you
Yeah.
know but like that's like one of the cool things I feel like about songwriting is you could take love and you can span it to mean so many different things and represent so many kinds of situations, really.
Mhm. That's something that I try really hard to like incorporate into every song I write is there's always like a double meaning or like it can mean something completely different to me than it does to like someone else. And that's what
Oh,
I
of
like
course.
that's an aspect of my music that I really like to keep alive because I think it's so cool where it's like, I'll write a song about something that's about like I don't know, like I'm mad at my dog because she doesn't like it when I hug her because she doesn't. It's the most annoying thing in the
What?
world because I'm just trying
What
to
kind of dog? What kind of dog?
she's okay, she's a rescue, right? She's
Okay.
3 years old and she's a golden lab mix,
Oh.
but she's a mess. She's a mess. She sleeps all the time and literally everywhere. She sleeps at the bottom of my stairs. So the number of
Oh.
times that I've accidentally stepped on her.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, anyway, but I love her. She's great. But yeah, and she always looks like she's frowning, and I think that's just like her face. That's just how it is.
Oh.
But she like never looks happy. So like I'll hug her or I'll kiss her head or whatever, or I'll scratch her stomach, and she just looks the same. She just looks so unamused. And
Oh my
so,
gosh.
I'll write like a little song about, how upset I am that she's not like accepting my love. But then I realized that like that could totally be like a real issue for someone with like another human. So
Oh my god.
it's like things like that where I can write a song about like I don't even know what, like something stupid, but like I can make it so dramatic to the point where like it could be like
Yeah.
it could have a totally different meaning to someone else.
That's a skill too. Like it it's really, really that's like a skill that a lot of songwriters have to develop, you know.
Mhm.
And it develops over time. It gets better. Like as you hear more songs, as you hear more songwriters, like you just notice a lot of the stuff that they're doing, and then you kind of like take that and like put it in your toolbox, really, you know.
Right. Yeah. So, how have you I know you gig a lot. But is there like anything else that you've done to like get your name out there more as far
Yeah.
as, like performing?
Um. Yeah. A lot. So yeah, I do gig a lot. That really helps. It's really just like everyday everyday interactions with people, you know? Like
Mhm.
it's really like making that positivity circle for you of like people that like aren't afraid to when people ask for like or like when they hear when they're not away from when they're away from you and they hear that somebody needs live music that they step in and they say your name and like stuff like that. It's like that kind of stuff I feel like is really important, like having people that believe in you, like your family and like
Mhm.
all that stuff. It's so very important. And like as for like marketing wise, like just really try to learn how to do everything. Try to learn how to produce, try to learn how to video edit, try to learn how to do as many things as you possibly can so you can be as self-sufficient as you possibly can, because
Mhm.
advertising, like design, all that stuff costs money.
Mhm.
And it's also just a good skill to learn. It really is, because then you can lend that skill to other people. And
Right.
like you can just be kind of a jack of all trades person, which I feel like is the most important thing, is really just to learn it all. Like don't ever tell yourself that like you can't learn how to use this doll, or you can't learn how to use this software, and you don't know how like MIDI instruments work and stuff like that. Like don't ever tell yourself that. Like YouTube
Yeah.
it, like learn yourself, really. You need to
Mhm.
come in with an open mind and like a willingness to learn, and I feel like that's the biggest thing to propel you forward as an artist, which makes you more marketable to other people too in the artist community.
Right. Yeah. So, is there any other advice that you would give someone who's like striving to make it big in the business?
I mean, I can't really tell you because I haven't. I'm not big yet, but hopefully I will be one day. But what I've been told from some really good mentors of mine is everyone always tries to critique everything that they're doing so hard,
Mhm.
like that they forget that it's like art, you know, like
Mhm.
it's what you're making is a representation of what who you are and what you're trying to do, and stay true to that, really. Like if you're
Mhm.
trying to make it big, like don't conform to other things. Like don't, if someone else is doing something and like you feel like if you did that you'd be more popular or whatever, like don't do it. Like
Yeah.
try to work on yourself, and I promise good things will come, and just stick with it. It's such an up and down road, really.
Mhm.
Like it's such a windy road. um there's times that you won't write music for a really long time. Like I think I'm pretty much on like a 4 month dry spout of writing,
Yeah.
and I'll come out of it. I know I will. And that's the thing, is like having faith in the future, because like everybody in this industry is like so special in like the way that they want to share like what they're
Mhm.
doing with people, you know? And just know that you're special. Like that's the thing. Like
Yeah.
know that you are enough. Like if you want to make it, then make it. If you want to be the person that like just writes songs for other people, like do that. Like there's no ideal path. Like well, one of my voice teacher told me this a couple weeks ago, and I've been trying to put it on repeat in my head. Like the only correct path is your path,
Mhm.
really. Like however you get to where you're going, that is the correct path. It's not following um like this person auditioned for The Voice when they were 16, like I got to do that. Like none of that. Like if
Yeah.
you want to do it, then do it. But like honestly, it really comes down to like your path in the end will be the right path, and if you want something bad enough, doors will open, and with consistency and hard work, it'll be yours.
Mhm. I feel like one thing that I tell a lot of people is, you know, at the end of the day, the only person who's standing in your way of you and your dream is yourself. So if
Hmm.
you are confident about something and you want it so badly to the point that like you can't think about anything else, then go for it. And if
Yeah.
people shoot you down, like just get back up.
Yeah, you need to find the people that believe in you. Like
Mhm.
I and like I left out a little bit of information too, like when I was talking about myself and like how like my music and stuff, because like Mike, he was my yes. Like people
Mhm.
need to look for their yeses. You know,
Mhm.
I auditioned for The Voice before that. Like I didn't make it.
Which I
I didn't.
didn't even know.
Yeah, yeah. I don't talk about it because it was really just a learning moment. And I was so nervous. Wow, my God, that was probably that was a real wake up call. It really was. And then I didn't audition for The Voice again, but you know, it really like it made me think to myself like these people like they're so talented. The people that win The Voice and stuff like that, and there's so many talented individuals out there. And like just because you weren't that one that was chosen out of the whole location, like the thousands of people, hundreds of people, I don't know how many, but like just because you weren't that one doesn't mean that you're not good, doesn't mean that you're not talented. And I just kept my head down. I kept on working, and like I asked other people too. My dad actually went to school with a guy. I forget what the record label is, but he lives in like LA and he works for a recording studio. And like, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, oh, this is it. Like, my dad went to high school with this guy, like, and like he never got back to him. And then he told my dad that he was gonna get um my dad in contact with like a manager, like a dual coast manager or whatever. And I just we never heard back. So I
Mhm.
was like, all right, like shot down again, but it's okay. It's okay. I still believe in myself, and like I kept on going and going and going, and the opportunities will really come like when you least expect them. Like I did not expect to go have dinner at 510 Johnny's and then meet my future like mentor and
Yeah.
who will connect me to my producer. Like I did not expect that at all, obviously.
Yeah.
And that's just the thing. It's like it only takes one yes.
Mhm.
So like bear with the no's because you're gonna get them. You're gonna get the no's,
Mhm.
and then once you find that yes, like and then it's another round of no's, 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 yes, and like it's just a chain. It's a chain that you have to follow, and it's really tedious, but like it's so worth it. It really
Mhm.
is. Hmm.
Yeah, this whole process is just a huge roller coaster. But in the end, it's fun. That's how every roller coaster is. It might be scary. It's there's going to be highs and lows, but at the end of the day, it's going to be fun and you're going to want to ride it again.
Yep.
So, you know, there's two ways you could look at it. So, yeah. So, one of my followers actually asked, how can you tell if you're good enough for music? And I thought this was a really interesting question because I don't know how to answer it.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, that's actually that's like such a philosophical, deep question. I feel like personally, it depends on how you're like look. If you're looking at music as an art, you know, like anybody can be an artist. You know,
Mhm.
um, it's really if you're looking at it from like that perspective, like everyone's an artist, but like obviously like the best artists, like people recognize them for their stuff. Um, but I don't really think it's the case for music, because like uh, it's it's kind of like just it's this weird correlation of things like your ability to play instruments, your musicality, your ability to sing, write, all that stuff kind of intertwines. And of course you're gonna start out like not good. Like I listen to videos and they're actually still up, which I try to delete them all the time. But I tell myself, you know, that's who I was. That's who I was, you
Mhm.
know. And I wanted to like I listened to like the guitar that I was playing, like all that
Mhm.
stuff. Like I was like, oh my gosh, who would like how the heck did I get comments and likes on this? Seriously.
Mhm.
Like it's just so bad. And that's the thing is like it's just something you have to constantly work at. So it's really hard to answer this question because like I feel like instead of like asking if you're good enough, you should be asking like, do I love this enough?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because if you love anything enough, it's worth it. You know, if you love music enough, you will get better. Like you'll become a better songwriter, a like instrumentalist. Like you will become better over time. So that's kind of like that's kind of all I can really say. That's really deep. I like that question though.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask some of my friends at college that and see what they have to say
Yeah.
because
Please
they like to
report
get deep with
back,
me.
and I will put answers on the Instagram just so
Oh
we
my gosh.
can. But another one of the questions that I got from a follower was, do you regret releasing any of your songs, or would you want to go back and change any of them?
Oh no, absolutely not. I think about it sometimes and like I know that I could sing a lot of the songs better now, but like it all depends on like what your philosophy is with recording. I feel like a lot of people look at these pop stars and they're like, "Oh my gosh, like they just had this single that got millions of streams, like it's so good." Like all that stuff. But like a lot of people don't have that luxury. Like I don't have that luxury. You know,
Yeah.
the money that I spent on my music, I'm like, well, I better release it. You know, like
Yeah.
and like I better like try to make it better and stuff like that. Like before I release it. But like once it's released, I kind of have this whole thing about me, like like my process with writing that like I try to think of my writings and all that as like a documentary for my me and like how I feel it and I want when I've died, when I'm older, for people to look back, be able to like look me up on the internet and listen to my songs from the first album to all the ones I've released after it and just hear the differences of like the topics that I'm talking about
Mm-hmm.
of like my musicality obviously as I'm going through music school and like all of that changing and that's I think that's the coolest thing for me and that's why I won't ever delete anything. um I feel like it's so important to document yourself because you learn about all these composers and like these artists that have like built like these like dynasties for themselves
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like the crazy thing is like of all their compositions like or songs that they write like the ones that really stick are the ones that like were the hits at the time like you'll look up an artist and like an older artist and they'll have like you know, for Apple Music like they'll have like their like top songs or whatever and it's like
Mm-hmm.
all songs from like different eras like that's okay to the public but like for me I want to be able to document that. Like, I'm not worried about one like releasing an album and be like, "Yep, that this song, this is a song that's gonna go." Like, I'm more worried about the long term effect,
Mm-hmm.
which I feel like that's the most important thing to consider. And like, please don't delete your stuff. If you release it, like it it's what you were at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's and that's okay. It's
Yeah.
completely okay. And like if you have to listen to it to like think that like oh like I'm so much better now, like do that. Like but really leave your stuff up and like so when you're feeling down on yourself, like I'm pretty sure Gabby you're gonna have this, but I have a whole playlist of like my own music, start to finish, and I just listen to it. I just listen to how my voice like
Mm-hmm.
evolves, the topics, like how they evolve over time. And that's something that keeps me inspired at the end of the day. So
Yeah.
please don't delete your stuff. Like, and yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like especially when it comes to like a career path like art, whether that's, painting and stuff along those lines, or if it's like music and stuff, growth is such an important thing. And you can see
Hmm.
it so clearly because that's what our work is. It's our growth,
Yeah.
it's our life basically, you know, to music, our
Yeah, of
life to
course.
a
Seriously.
piano, or our life to a guitar. So I feel like watching that growth is so important. Like my YouTube channel, I'm the same way. I'm so tempted to go back and just like get rid of everything because it's so gross, but I know that I can't.
Yeah, don't. Seriously, don't do it. And like as much as you're tempted to, like just don't do it cuz like one day like everything's going to pay off.
Mhm.
Like and like I don't know if that for you if that means like record label deal, like going to college and like being a music therapist and like doing this stuff on the side, helping other people, like whatever that like paying off for people is so different. Um, but like whatever that is for you, you're gonna look back one day and you're gonna say, "Wow, like that's where I started." You
Right?
know, that's where I started, and like it might not be the best to my ear right now, but like God, like that's so cool to see like how I was so like invested, so happy. You know?
Mhm. And so passionate too. To
Mm,
the point where like I was I think this was like freshman year, maybe like 2 years ago when I made my YouTube channel.
mm,
But like, I imagine myself like, I don't know, like 10 years from now with like I have a list of like 13 songs that I've written that I want to release eventually.
mm.
Um, and like I imagine when the last one on that list is out and it's to the public, and I look back and I'm like, words. And I'm just like, I don't know, like 15 years ago, this was me. This is where I started. And like the fact
Yeah,
that, like, I feel like it's almost kind of emotional. Like, you look
it's
back and you're
very,
like, this marked the day that I decided, like, the one thing that made me happy, like the thing that made me
yeah.
the happiest.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that one time that you were just like, you know what, I'm enough. I'm doing this. Like
Hmm.
that's a big thing too. Is like that confidence
Hmm.
to like just say, I am me. Like,
Yeah.
hey world, like this is me. If you like me, cool. If you don't like me, like whatever. But
Hmm.
like this is me, and this is what I have to say. Like that confidence is like I don't know.
Yeah.
It's really amazing. Like that moment that you realize like I have something important to say. Like this is what I'm doing. You know
Hmm. And you decide to do it for you, which I think is the most important
exactly.
thing. Is like, you're like, so what if like the world doesn't like me? I'm doing this because I love it, and that's all that matters at the end of the day, which is just so awesome. But yeah, I think that about wraps up this episode. Thank you, Garrett, so much for joining me. I typically leave everyone with a good note. So, to wrap up this episode, I will remind you guys to wait for your yes. I know it might not come right away, but wait for your yes, and also be confident in who you are. If you love something, go after it. At the end of the day, you are the only person in the way of achieving your dreams. So, just be confident in yourself. As hard as it is, be confident in yourself because you are all amazing people, and I love you so much. And thank you for tuning in. I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye.